Podcasts are hot right now. How do I know? Well, you're listening to one right now, aren't you? But you might be wondering, how on earth do I get my voice out there and start my own podcast? It all seems so intimidating. Between hosting and platforms and monetization, it can get real complicated real quick. Well, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We started this podcast over 2 years ago, not knowing clue one on how to do it. So how do we do it? We did it with Anchor. Anchor is the free podcast app with creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. And Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on all the platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. And everybody likes money, right? Well, you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So go right now, download the free Anchor app, or go to Anchor FM to get started. It's the E-Commerce Minute, your daily dose of e-commerce, tech, and retail news with your hosts, Bart Mraz and John Suter. The E-Commerce Minute is a production of Sumo Heavy, a digital commerce consulting firm in Brooklyn, New York, and Philadelphia. Find us on the web at sumoheavy.com. It's E-Commerce Minute, episode 594.
In today's episode, Ralph Lauren launches Digital Product Identities.
Ralph Lauren has been in a decade-long slump, accelerated by closing stores, deep discounts, and a not-so-great relationship with its customers. In fact, in 2017, it closed its largest retail shop, a Polo store on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. Between outdated styles and a loss of customer loyalty, the brand sorely needed an update. Ralph Lauren Corporation has announced the launch of digital product IDs for tens of millions of Ralph Lauren products, starting with their iconic Polo brand. The IDs will be placed on product labels that can be scanned with a smartphone. The technology will also offer real-time visibility into the supply chain from the point of manufacture, as well as give shoppers additional product details, styling tips, and recommendations. The IDs were launched in partnership with software company Everything, and that's spelled EVRYTHNG because millennials hate vowels, and adhesive manufacturing company Avery Dennison. Ralph Lauren introduced the IDs among its Polo products, which are available in select stores and on the Ralph Lauren online shop. Ralph Lauren's digital product IDs are hosted on an agile platform, and as the program scales, new features are continually being exported to unlock the full potential of this technology and build a stronger, more personalized relationship between Ralph Lauren Company and its consumers. Besides Ralph Lauren's declining sales, the need for this technology comes at a time when counterfeit goods continue to flood the marketplace. As the resale market grows, online marketplaces like Amazon and re-commerce platforms like The RealReal have to fight to keep out fake goods, but they're still slipping through the cracks. Ralph Lauren's Chief Innovation Officer, David Lauren, I guess he's that son or brother or whatever, he's probably a family something or other, said in a statement, the application of this technology means every Polo product will be born digital, which represents a new milestone in data intelligence innovation in our sector. Digital product IDs are being phased into all Polo Ralph Lauren products and are currently available for certain products in select global retail stores and on ralphlauren.com.
So, this
You have thoughts, Bart?
I do have thoughts. Does this come out before Real Real or after Real Real?
What do you mean?
Remember Real Real? What I mean is the news about Real Real that they were getting fakes.
Well,
this
was right around the same time.
This right at the same time, right? It was like a day or before.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing that was like, I think after where Real Real actually had it, and then like this comes out. Like this does solve part of the problem.
Yes.
I don't know how much tagging and stuff like that. I saw the tag of it. I'm not sure how much tagging on a product you have. Part of me goes, this is good for counterfeit and stuff like that, but also part of me goes, did you ever see, remember, there was a documentary, not documentary, but like a show about a guy in like somewhere down south. He has this whole resale market.
Oh yeah.
Remember that guy? And he resells like fake Gucci stuff because that actually does really, really well, which is crazy. So I wonder if it's, part of it is resale stuff, part of it's fake stuff, but how much Ralph Lauren was kind of tough, right? I mean, it's definitely older generation that always like Ralph Lauren.
Mm-hmm.
Is it going to come back? Like, people are looking at different old school stuff.
I was going to say that in the fashion we all know is very cyclical. And I remember being a young person in business, and you would have a nice Ralph Lauren dress shirt that was kind of a status symbol. Then the hip hop community kind of latched onto just the RL, which was like the more casual version of the polo. That was everywhere, and then all of a sudden, not so much, because that's just what happens. That's what happens. What's happening with Tommy Hilfiger? It happens with all the big fashion brands.
My question is, what's the bigger story here? Is it the counterfeit thing, or is it like Ralph Lauren like climbing its way back into relevancy? You know what I mean?
I think it's counterfeit. I don't think it's relevancy at all. I think it's just because it just came out, but you don't see anything else about them. You know what I mean?
Well, I guess we're both right, but I think the real reason that this got, pushed out as kind of a press thing is because it is unique and they are trying to get back to relevancy. Their numbers have bounced back. Their stock is back up. And like we said, it's cyclical. And it could it could all just be a matter of coincidence where it's just like, oh, Ralph Lauren's cool again. And they have this product ID thing. I'm looking at a picture of it on their website. And coincidentally, the press release came out on the 1st of November. So this was after the real brouhaha. So it was just right after that. But if you look at the tag, it's basically your simple tag that goes on the back of your shirt. And then to the right of it, there's like a little addendum. It's an orange tag. And it basically just has a QR code on it.
Right.
So the QR code, it doesn't really say it doesn't show you what the QR code shows you, but it is a neat little gimmick. And I think what you're going to find is just every luxury brand is going to figure out a way to do it. Now, we've done some other stories. I mean, what was the one thing, Bart, we did where they spray this diamond dust on these products?
I remember.
And you can only see it under a certain light. There's all different kinds of gimmicks, and all the luxury brands have been dealing with this for years and years and years.
Yeah, I think like anything. I feel like anything like a digital world, right? Anytime you put some restrictions, people will find a way around it. But they also got to protect their stuff, right? Like being overseas is hard too. You can't really protect your own sort of intellectual property anywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's a little hard.
I find the usage of QR codes in this to be really interesting too.
Well, so I think that the problem is like everybody keeps on saying it's like, oh, QR codes, why they're stupid, but they're the most universal use, right?
Next to barcodes, yes.
Next to barcodes, right? So, but also your phone camera, you don't need a special app anymore.
Right.
It just will recognize it. So, and I don't think a lot of people know that.
Right.
It's
that's
easy.
what I was going to say too.
I think it needs to be more popularized, but it's always going to be around because it's so much. You can put so much info in that little thing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. You in previous podcasts, I've dragged the QR code to the ground because I was in the early days of QR code. I was forced to design posters with giant QR codes in there, and no one knew how to use a QR code. But it was just like, no, you have to put the QR code in there because technology. I'm like, but no one knows how to use this. No, but you've got to put that on there. And it was back then it was silly. But yeah, there are different methods that luxury brands use to identify counterfeits. I know back before you could come up with a technology solution such as this, there were handbags, and my mother used to collect these like Dooney and Burke handbags, and she would go to a flea market and know which ones were the counterfeits because the hang tags, there was a stitching, there was like all these little cues that the luxury companies would have to do and let their customers know. It's like, hey, you're not buying a real Gucci bag unless it has this certain quality on here that is very hard for the counterfeiters to reproduce. Now, on the other side of that, and as Bart pointed out earlier, some people don't care. They like buying the counterfeit stuff. There's that whole what's that whole street in New York where it's all they sell is counterfeit bags, and it's like we don't.
Yeah, I mean, Canal Street is famous for that, but no, it's even on the. You remember what I'm talking about? The collectors actually. There's a like full. I think it's like 15 years or whatever that was out of like they don't really care and they still sell. I think Gucci is the one that like people actually prefer the counterfeit like T-shirts and stuff like that from Gucci.
Yeah, the ones you used to see
items.
I used to see them on the street, and it had the big giant Gucci with all the crazy patterns. It was almost like graffiti. It was like the style of it. It was like so over the top.
It's kind of like ironic. It was like ironic in a way.
And now it's like a full huge collector's item.
Right now, these shirts used to be able to buy on the street for like $15, and now going for $100,
which is pretty funny. Capitalism wins at the end of the day. Hey, John, who's today's sponsor?
Today's sponsor is us, Sumo Heavy.
Way. No
yes.
way.
check this out. Hey, listeners, did you know that Sumo Heavy has a weekly newsletter? Yes, we do. You heard that correctly. Sumo Heavy publishes a weekly newsletter filled with our latest blog posts, e-commerce news, and tips, as well as e-commerce events and job listings. It's chock full. We've also got a feature called Our Latest Obsession, which is one of our favorite things we found on the internet this week. And one of our favorite stories is about a 20-year-old Florida man who explains why he's only eaten mac and cheese for the past 17 years. We're not going to tell you why. You'll have to go look it up. That's in newsletter number 196. And how do you find this newsletter? I'm going to tell you. You'll head on over to bit.ly/Sumo Heavy newsletter where you can subscribe and also read past issues. Each jam-packed issue drops bright and early every Friday night. So don't get left out. All the cool kids are doing it. Go subscribe now. bit.ly/Sumo Heavy newsletter and be in the know. How about that?
Look out for our next newsletter titled Florida Man.
Florida Man. Florida Man.
Florida Man.
All right, Brittany, why don't we mix it up? We'll do a little stat time.
Ralph Lauren shares have slumped nearly 26% since the end of June. That's from the Wall Street Journal. Ralph Lauren reported Thursday that quarterly revenue edged higher from last year to $1.7 billion with a B dollars, beating the company's expectations. Net profit also increased 7% annually to $182 million for the quarter, and that's from Morning Brew.
So they're doing better.
Yeah, basically, they are doing better, and this should...
The stock market still hates them. All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and so do those pesky millennials.
Typical.
And another interesting one is 40% of the sales in luxury fakes take place online.
That's the truth.
Yeah. And it is estimated that 1 trillion with a trill in global trade will be counterfeited goods and intellectual property by 2020.
Criminals.
Oh my God, that was great because with a beat, with a trill.
With a
That's a new one. With a trill.
That's a new one.
My student has learned well.
Oh,
I thought that would tickle your fancy.
My student has learned well.
Ladies and gentlemen, they now become one.
We've now become one.
John literally says about me, don't talk to me or my son ever again.
Yep. Don't talk to me or my son ever again. All right, boomers. Guys, got anything else?
No,
that is it.
I actually don't have a damn single more thing to add.
All right. Go sign up for our newsletter, bit.ly/Sumo Heavy newsletter, and we'll see you on the internet tomorrow. That's it for today's show. If you like the show, do us a favor and subscribe, or leave us a review on iTunes. And don't forget, you can now listen to the e-commerce minute on your Amazon device. Just add e-commerce minute to your flash briefing. And finally, if you have a comment or suggestion, or just want to say hi, find us on social media @Sumo Heavy.